Welcome to the Band Director Bootcamp podcast, the go-to place for busy band directors who want practical to build programs while maintaining balance in their lives. This podcast is brought to you by the Empowered Music Educator Academy, where we help directors like you find efficiency, sustainability, and impact in your teaching and leadership. And speaking of impact, our platinum sponsor, Kennelly Keys Music, has been serving musicians with a commitment to quality, reliability, and exceptional service. Whether you need top-tier instruments, expert repairs, or trusted advice, they've got you covered. Now, let's dive in and set the tempo for success.
Welcome to another episode of Band Director Bootcamp, the podcast with productivity and wellness tips for busy band directors to help them amplify their impact and not their workload. I'm your host, Leslie Moffat, and I'm really grateful to be sharing this platform with you. We know you don't have a lot of time to watch lengthy professional development webinars, so we bring you 20-minute tidbits with takeaways you can use to support you and help you in this awesome career. And today I've got a guest who's not a band director, but he's kind of an honorary band geek, we'll call him. And he's going to talk to us today about some different things that band directors and music teachers don't often think about because we're so busy being in the trenches and just trying to figure it all out. And we're going to talk today about how building some relationships with people like our local music stores or parent boosters and community partners can really enhance your program success. And honestly, it can lighten your workload. And if you don't need your workload lightened, go ahead and turn this off. But if lighter workload sounds good to you, stay here because we're going to talk about how can independent music stores help us out and how does that impact you directly as an educator. And we're going to get a little bit behind the scenes look at what makes a strong music educator and vendor partnership mutually beneficial, and some things you might expect or want to start expecting from your music store that you didn't know you could do so that you can work together better to benefit you, your students, your program, and your community. And to talk about that today, our guest is Billy Kennelly from Kennelly Keys Music. And if you've been listening to the podcast at all, you hear me talk about him a lot because Kennelly Keys is our sponsor this for season 4 of the podcast. He's been a longtime supporter of music ed as well. And I've known him for a very long time because our parents went way back. So Bill comes to us with both passion and perspective as somebody who has spent decades in the music industry. That makes you sound really old. Sorry, Bill. Learning from mentors and navigating a bunch of challenges with his own persistence. And so today he's going to talk to us about meaningful relationships between music educators and the stakeholders like the music stores and parents and boosters and how it benefits all of us. So there you go. So we are not alone in the trenches as music teachers. Well, we feel like it sometimes, but there are people out there to help us. And Bill's going to talk to us today about different things out there. So first of all, thanks for being here, Billy.
Hi, Leslie. How are you?
Oh gosh, I'm so grateful, not just for you being here today, but for your belief in this podcast. I know we're reaching thousands and thousands of people out there. And just like in my classroom, having somebody who believes in it and who's there to help out behind the scenes is a huge thing. So you're coming here on this podcast talking about what I've seen happen from your business for decades. So I'm excited about that.
I am too. I was just coming home from one of my youngest boys who's dating me now. My youngest is 19 now. And we were coming back from one of his college baseball games. And I had my brother with me and he played for your dad in school. And he was a clarinet player. And we were talking about Bruce Caldwell. And I just remember, this dates us, of course, but he was so instrumental in giving me the confidence, when my dad passed away. And it was just amazing, the generosity and wisdom that he offered. And guys like him and like Frank DeMiro, those guys, they just laid the format down. It was unbelievable. So here we are now at their age, and
we're the old farts. but we grew up in a small town pretty much, and things revolved around the music stuff and all of that. And your dad was, Kennelly Keys Music was a big piece of the puzzle because the music programs needed that support. And so I would be with my dad as he would do all his band director stuff. And I think I got a really cool insight because I'd, go down to the music store with him and I'd see Mr. Kennelly and chat with them. And so I just understood from day one that, of course, you want to have a music store person on your side, but I don't think everybody grows up like that. And so I really want to make sure that people out there understand the benefits to building these relationships. For example, some of the things that your folks at your store do is, it might seem like a little thing, but coming out and picking up the instruments and dropping them off. After teaching full day, the last thing I can do is fight traffic and go get those instruments in. And having people out there that can do that mean that I can have a student get an instrument repaired and back in their hands so much faster than if I do it myself and have to wait. And those kinds of things, again, makes my life a little easier, but it's impacting students directly. So we're talking about some pretty important stuff here. Talk to us a little bit about, why are you so passionate? Well, you talked a little bit about music here, but you've been involved with it forever. And talk to us a little bit about maybe why you think it's important to have those relationships. You could just have a store and not worry about all the extras. Why do you go the extra miles and miles?
Well, being in the community, growing up in kind of a small town, and, even we call Edmonds a small town now, and it isn't so small anymore, but it's pretty funny. But, the diversity that the music business allows, it has no discrimination on any walk of life or anything. And I just love all the different types of people that have been in it. And when you're talking to folks about, the importance of music and especially these days with everybody on their phones and they've got to go and everything. And I'm just like, wow, instead of having the TV on for 15 minutes watching the news, put on a record, or put on Alexa or put on a favorite song and watch how it changes your mindset. Raising my boys, that's what we would do. We would have the music on, and it would be all kinds of genres and things. And it was just so much more inspiring. And it moves you in ways that other forms of entertainment just can't. So, when I'm, going back, looking at some of this stuff that, why did I do it? And just all of the people around it, it can literally change somebody's life. It could take an aspiring kid that doesn't have a clue what he wants to do or anything. And he picks up an instrument and all of a sudden he takes to it. And all of a sudden it can change their life for generations to come. And I just think that's huge in the human spirit of life, Yeah,
I know all the people listening can think of examples of kids that may drop out of school even and things like that if they didn't have that music piece, that community that's built. It's playing the music is cool, but that community that comes from doing that together.
Frank DeMiro had said many times that you find a school district with a good music program and you've got a well-run school district in itself. It just seems to connect all the pieces to the puzzle when you've got the arts. And I say the music programs, and I don't want to say that, that sports aren't important. All my boys played baseball and I love sports and there's the other programs and everything like that. I remember when one of my boys was playing and he went further into college and he was playing for the Everett Merchants and the head coach wanted us to sponsor an ad in their program. And I go, okay, well, we're a music store, but sure, you bet. We'll put an ad in there. And I had taken a photo of my oldest boy, who's 31 now, when he was a baby with a cello. And we caught a picture of him plucking away. And the caption in the ad in the baseball program of the Everett Merchants was "Play, baby, play," and Matthews with his cello there. And the caption is, "Because there's more to life than baseball." It's like follow your dreams. And he's like, "Good one, BK, good one."
That's great. It's part of just a well-rounded life, and music is, and for our whole lives. And so you're right. We can start it at those beginning bands, and you even talked about that in something you had sent me earlier about beginning band. There's such a short window to grab those kids before you can lose them, and that's such an important time.
We were at a school board meeting last year when they were putting some of the pressure on funding of some of these programs. And they allowed me to get up for a few minutes and I don't know if it fell on deaf ears. Maybe it did. I don't know, but I wanted to get the importance of the feeder program, how important they are. Cause they're like, oh, what's the big deal? They'll still start in 6th grade. And I'm like, I mean, these kids, they have humility factors. And if you don't catch a kid when he still thinks he's going to be the president or Superman or an astronaut or a superstar MLB player, there's this window of opportunity that these kids have where they think they can do anything. Mm-hmm. And that's when you've got to catch them. And that's where 4th and 5th, right there, those grades are. As soon as they get a little older, and all of a sudden, then you've got this humility. Oh, that's embarrassing. I'm too cool. I don't want to try that. I'm no good at it. And all of a sudden, and it takes them off the stage. And that's a shame because, as we get older, like someone like me, like I'm not that great a musician. I mean, for the most part, if all we serviced was advanced, professional musicians, we wouldn't be in business. We help service and support aspiring musicians. But, how hard is it to get on the stage at a basic, going to karaoke or something, it's like, it's that humility factor. You got to catch it when you can.
Yeah. See, I would never do that. I'd be so scared. I'd go up and play my trombone or piano. Everybody'd be like,
and you've been around music and every tune. And
I know.
Play it. Yeah.
But I bet they're analyzing what I was doing wrong or something, right? It's just
same.
But yeah,
like my grandmother would stop me. You're just not very good at this.
Ouch. And then people believe it, but that's why people don't keep going, because you hear that once and then you hear it over and over in your own head. So, and then,
well, that's that was kind of the start of, honestly, to get deep on it a little bit, that was kind of the start of, yes, I can, Grandma, yes, I can. And because, after my dad passed away, I was doing other things. I had other hobbies. I had another work life. I'd always come back to help him quite a bit. And I'd go, I'll drive your trucks. I'll work in the warehouse. At least you can trust me and I'll do whatever you want. And, but so many people after he passed away, it's like, you're never going to make it, kid. You don't know anything about the music business. And what are you going to do? But it took like guys like your dad or Frank DeMiro to, put their wings over me and go, yes, you can. It's not that hard. All you got to do is have a willingness to want to help people. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. But, and you know what? And all these years later, we've survived. We've paid our bills. We've employed lots of people. And quite frankly, I've never missed one of my kids' plays or a baseball game or an important family gathering. And that's super valuable to me.
Yeah, I could tell that it is. I mean, you totally exude like all of this sincerity about it. And like, I mean, how many people can say that their local music store owner goes to the school board meetings to speak up? You guys make those relationships with people because they can speak and advocate on your behalf as well. People like Bill are voters in the community. He went and spoke to his school board to support music. So, I mean, that's like above and beyond the call of duty. But it goes with something you had mentioned in that form I have people fill out before the thing. And you said that your productivity and wellness insight is getting up early, work hard, be kind, and contribute to improve the world around you. So I think that mindset piece that you've got is something we can all learn from too, because it's not just for building a better business and all. It's like building your own self better and your program and then within the community. So those are just really important things.
Yeah, I've been so fortunate in my life to have mentors that, or just really good friends that I would see just inspire people just with their humor or their smarts and they would make somebody's day and they wouldn't even realize it. And I'm like, what? It's like, I mean, what did we do today to make somebody's day a little better? And so when I'm talking with my sales guys and in particularly my educational services guys, I'm like, hey, they got a rough job, man. They got 30, 40 kids a day and they're, we get a compliment when you can bypass one of our instruments but say, okay, that's a Kennelly tag on that thing, that'll probably play, and you got to ride on that. That's a good compliment, but what can you do to help them out? And it's like, be there, pick them up their stuff, anything you can do to improve the quality of their day. And all of a sudden we win, because at the end of the day, all we really need is, the folks that are actually the authorities in the music world, which are the educators in our community. And parents, they look to you guys and they go, hey, yeah, he's doing really great. Where do you, we're thinking about buying a saxophone or renting one or getting him started in the drums at church or whatever. Where do you think we should go? And as long as our name comes up, give them a try. They're pretty good down there. And that's all we need. And so if that's a level of service that we can provide, that's, to me, is essential. It's a low cost. It's so important to go, we got your back. What do you need? We might make mistakes, and we do. Half the time I'm always walking around here going, if we could just get out of our own way, but at the end, if we could just service who we can, support them, and just say, hey, whatever it takes. I may not have the answers this minute, but I'm going to find out. We'll get it. Let's make this happen. Let me take them right now. And we'll, because we want the programs to survive, especially amongst some of these feeder program pressures right now. It's kind of alarming. It's like, from a retailer, we're like, what are we going to do? And so we have to adjust, very, very seriously. And then we have our administration going, the tariff speculation, and it's going up and down. And what are we going to do? And then our vendors, our top vendors, Leslie, are like, well, we're just going to add 10% to all the prices. And I'm like, oh, really? Well, maybe I just won't buy it, which is, that's unrealistic. Honestly, I have to buy stuff. But when you're talking about the prices of some of these instruments, just a little bit of insight on one of my rental instruments. I mean, let's go a baseline instrument, a clarinet, trumpet, flute, drum kit. These things are like $300 or $400 our cost. And that, and at $20 to $22 a month in rent, that takes a couple of years just to break even. A lot has to go right. And then bring it in after it gets dropped and dent work gets done and adjustments and the valves, and we got this little white thing popped out of it. It's a pad, man. We'll just hold on. We'll be right back. Well, I tried to get the mouthpiece out, but I just went out in the garage and grabbed a pair of vice grips. That ought to work. Well, now you rip the whole lead pipe off.
Yeah. There's a reason there are professionals for these things.
So you have to, and fortunately we have a lot of support around the community. Our rental pool, or that active list, is large enough where we can absorb the float, but it's getting harder and harder. I made this big push a few years ago. All the brand new instruments are getting, and we only sell top line instruments. Otherwise my shop's working too hard, trying to fix stuff. And I want our customers I don't want a rental instrument to be thought of as a sub quality instrument. I want it to be the best they can play. So even though it costs me more, I get rewarded by it because they tend to stay out longer and they don't break down as much. And they tend, if it's a rent to own program, they tend to pay it off, which is, if on the float, that's what I need. So
a couple more questions for you. And I want to take a minute to do a quick shout out to our podcast sponsors. Happens to be the Empowered Music Educator Academy and Kennelly Keys Music. Don't go anywhere, Bill. We'll be back in a moment.
As band directors, we know that success is all about preparation, whether it's in the classroom, on the podium, or behind the scenes. That's why the Empowered Music Educator Academy is here to help you master time management, reduce stress, and create sustainable routines that keep both you and your program thriving. And when it comes to ensuring your musicians have access to top quality instruments and services, Kennelly Keys Music is the name to trust. From rentals and repairs to expert advice and outstanding customer service, Kennelly Keys is committed to keeping your program running smoothly. Visit KennellyKeysMusic.com today to explore their offerings and experience the difference of working with a company that truly cares about music education. Now, back to the show.
All right, as we wrap up this episode of the podcast, I do have a couple more things, because if y'all are sitting out there going, well, I just don't know how I would, what would the music store do for me? I'm just going to give you a couple of examples of what Canelli Keys Music has done that has made my program not just survive, but actually thrive. And I've got three, I mean, this isn't, they also come and do, like I said earlier, the instrument pickup, and I get just first class service whenever I make a call. But also, just last month, they provided staff and instruments for us to do our instrument tryout night. So all of the incoming sixth graders next year have come and tried out their instruments and set up so we can separate by woodwind and brass. So that makes my life better next year. It makes it easier for the students to learn. And we didn't have to wait till school started when it's a huge scramble. Counselors are happy, staff member, my principal. That was just one thing. We've done lots of festivals when I was at the high school, especially, where we have a booth set up out front, and it was Canelli Keys that was out there. The music store was there to do those emergency repairs so that somebody doesn't show up and worked so hard on that trumpet solo and then the valve is stuck at the festival. All those kinds of things. That's helpful for the attendees and for the directors and all of that, and parents. And again, for the kids that have worked so hard. And then something that, I don't know if you guys do all this, but I have it set up for Friday the 13th. They're coming in again this year to my classroom with the tech guy, and we're going to sit down with the instruments and go through, here's what I need working next year now that I know what kids are playing, which ones are repairable, which ones should I not? I trust your guys to tell me, they can make those decisions, and then we can send all those in for repair, because I don't know enough to say, is this saxophone really fixable? So I have to have people I can trust that come in and do that in order for my program to run well. And so those are just some examples of ways that a relationship with one of the vendors that I use has really benefited over the years. And so just publicly, I'm going to thank you for that again, for being behind that, because I can tell you how much that's appreciated. So.
Well, you bet. We just started a new program with Music for Life to partner with them so that we can get more instruments into kids' hands that otherwise couldn't afford it. And I think it's going to go really well. And we want the program, because we don't want any kids that show any kind of enthusiasm about it. We don't want them to be without an instrument. And we've always had it available, but they're really putting it out there where it's a real program through them and through their network that we're able to get a lot of instruments into kids' hands that otherwise couldn't afford it. So we're pretty excited about that. It's tough program. to make it not a rich man's sport. With the prices of these instruments and the rental rates and everything, it's tough. And we're doing everything we can to keep them low, but still at the same time we got a level of quality, and so it's sometimes it can be a battle, but it's a worthwhile one.
It's a battle for all of us, and I appreciate that I'm not alone in the trenches out there, honestly. So whether it's all of you out there, whether it's a music store rep or somebody from any other business that you're using, from my guy that does all my bag printing and stuff. We're doing a trip tomorrow, and he printed all my bags for me, the vendor I use for that. We have, again, great relationship. He knows what I need and he takes care of it, and it provides nice things for my students to have that we need. So that was really my point of inviting you to do this podcast today, was to get other music teachers out there to remember the resources that are out there and use them in ways that support you and your students and your community, and also the businesses. Because when one of us succeeds, it's beneficial for all of us.
Yeah, it's absolutely essential to keep the spokes of the wheel turning.
Right. We want to live in communities.
Everybody has to work together. We're all in this together absolutely. And,
sure.
And you guys have our commitment that we'll try our best. And it's you got our commitment to that.
Oh, cool. I've seen it for decades, and I have no doubt that will continue. And everybody out there, think about, how is your relationship with those folks that provide such amazing services for you? Is it just an online one, or do you have that benefit of, as Billy would call it, three-dimensional relationship where it's that face-to-face? So thanks a million, Bill, for taking time out of your busy day to come talk to us, and also for your continued support of this podcast and helping us get it out to more people.
Thank you, Leslie. Yeah. Super proud of you.
Thank you. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of Band Director Boot Camp. Thanks to our guest, Bill Kennelly, and to all of you out there who keep showing up to teach music every day. Remember, success in music education isn't just about what happens on the podium. It's about taking care of yourself and setting up systems that work for you. Thanks for listening, and keep making a difference in kids' lives through the magic of music education.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Band Director Boot Camp podcast. Remember, success in music education isn't just about what happens on the podium. It's about taking care of yourself and setting up systems that work for you. The Empowered Music Educator Academy is here to help you do just that. So be sure to check out our resources at empowerededucator.com. And of course, a huge thank you to Kennelly Keys Music, our platinum sponsor, for their unwavering support of music educators like you. Whether you need instruments, accessories, or expert advice, their team is ready to help. Thanks for listening, and keep making music happen.